On this episode of What's Going On with Shipping, the motor vessel Glory got stuck in the Suez Canal. Hi, I'm your host, Sal Mercogliano. So, if you don't know anything about this channel started 2 years ago, March of 2021, when the motor vessel Ever Given got stuck in the Suez. And the original name of the channel was What's Going On in the Suez. So, suffice it to say, whenever anything happens in the Suez, I get a phone call pretty quick about it, and last night my phone exploded while I was sleeping about the fact that a ship was once again stuck in the Suez. Now, one of the things we found out post Ever Given is that ships do get stuck in the Suez on a fairly kind of routine basis. About once a year we have a good grounding in the Suez. Ever Given was unique in that we never had a vessel that size, that kind of magnitude shut down the canal to that level. But motor vessel Glory did ground in the canal. She is now free and the canal is open for traffic. So I want to go back, take a look at what happened and what's going on right now with the vessel. So if you're new to the channel, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. All right, let's take a look at the stories. So this is a story from G Captain right here. Bulk carrier transporting Ukrainian grain briefly grounds in the Suez Canal. This is a Mike Scholler story. So the ship grounded at kilometer 38 after suffering, quote, a machinery failure. They dropped the plan. This happens, unfortunately, a lot. Lots of times when you're in tight maneuvering, you can lose the plan. This has been an ongoing issue for over 2 years, especially with the fuel issues, with the switch over to very low sulfur fuel. Now, we don't know what caused it. What we do know is the ship lost power. It was heading southbound in the canal near El Cantara, which is near Ismailia, which is, I'll show you on the map right exactly where it is. It's the northern end of the Suez Canal, but she was in a one-lane section of the canal when it happened. The Suez Canal Authority sent tugs there and almost immediately were able to free the vessel off. Normal canal operations have been restored. 51 vessels scheduled to transit the waterway both directions, 25 northbound, 25 southbound. And basically, we've seen that the canal has reopened. This story from Maritime Executive kind of expands on this just a little bit. Just want to talk a little bit more about MV Glory. 76,500 deadweight ton bulk carrier registered in the Marshall Islands, 738 feet long, 43-foot draft. Again, nowhere near the size of what we saw with Ever Given. Ever Given was 400 meters, 1,300 feet long. The vessel had departed Chormunsk, Ukraine on December 25th, loaded with 65,970 metric tons of corn. Now, you're sitting there going, well, that's Christmas. Why is this happening in the second week of January? Well, the ship had to clear an inspection at Istanbul, and she was not able to be inspected until January 3rd. If we head over here to the Black Sea Grain Initiative, you'll see the vessel listed right here, December 25th, inspection 3 January, and able to continue its transit. 4 tugs with a pull force of 95 tons were dispatched to the vessel to be able to free it. Suez Canal Authority has been working to improve navigation on the canal. In December 2022, they awarded a $272 million dredging contract focusing on the area where Ever Given grounded. Last week, the Suez Canal said Egypt earned nearly $8 billion from the canal last year, a 25% increase. The number of vessels that transited the waterway in 2022 reached 25,583 compared to 20,694 in 2021 and 18,830 in 2020. I should also note that the Suez Canal Authority has increased the rates for their vessels here. You can see the Glory heading into the Suez Canal, came out of the anchorage north, heading southbound. When the vessel experienced its difficulty, you'll see it start to slow down here. So one of the big concerns is the ship goes sideways, which is what happened with Ever Given. Ever Given didn't lose propulsion. It rammed into the side of the Suez Canal. Glory here slowed down, and when vessels start losing propulsion, they start slowing down. And if you're on a highway and this happens, what you tend to do is pull over to the side. That's what they do in the Suez. You tend to pull over to the side and ground along the side there. The difficulty and the danger here is that communication is sent to the vessels behind you. so that they can begin to slow down. There's no brakes on ships. You don't drop, you don't drop an anchor. That's movies. That's not how things work. You got to start slowing down, which means you got to take propulsion off. But as you take way off your vessel, as you stop spinning your propeller under power, you lose maneuverability. The force going past the rudder allows you to navigate. So you got to be really concerned about the vessels behind you losing control and going sideways or running into the back of you. You'll see these these little blue ones coming in. These are the tugboats kind of coming in. You'll see some of the tugboats heading to other vessels to make sure they're okay. They'll bring the tugs in. One of the things the Suez Canal Authority has done is really increase the response of the tugs and the power of these tugs. And you'll see Glory getting pulled off here and now being moved. And so she was cleared in a very brief period of time. So our buddies over at Tanker Trackers captured these screenshots of marine traffic and posted them on Twitter so you can see it. You'll see Glory right there up against the west bank heading southbound. You'll see tugs coming into position there. Again, what the tugs want to be able to do is not just pull her off, but be able to control the vessel going down. So you'll want a tug on the bow and stern to be able to ensure that the vessel doesn't drift and go sideways. And then you'll see them be able to start maneuvering them along, one at the bow, one at the stern, and one what they call on the hip on the side to ensure that they can get the vessel down. Here she is coming under the bridge. She was just north of the bridge when this happened, and you see her coming southbound. This is one of the big salvage tugs in the front, big towing vessels there. Here's another tug on the stern, and then that one tug on the side there on the hip. As they talk about it gives you the best control for maneuvering these vessels. Here she is, and the details, she's flagged in the Marshall Islands. Gross tonnage 39,964 tons, 225 meter length, 32.26 meter breadth, built in 2005 under the Classification Society of Korean Registry of Shipping. Basically, ownership is in Greece. Builder was in Japan, registry of shipping in South Korea, insured by the UK P&I Club. She's Marshall Island flagged. I'm going to come over here to Marine Vessel Finder. Vessel Finder has her showing right now, and one of the things I want to show you is she is parked in one of these bypass lanes. They have moved her and anchored her in this bypass lane. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here a minute and show you. So here is the full Suez Canal right here. So Port Said up in the north, Suez in the south. Wherever Given went aground was down here at the very southern area in this little one-lane section right here. In the middle of the lake, or actually about 2/3 down from north to south, is the Great Bitter Lake. And then you come up here into the dual lane section, and there's a dual lane section right here. Where she grounded, where Glory grounded was north. Here's the bridge right here. She grounded north of the bridge, and now she's been pulled south, and she's in one of these bypass lanes. You'll see her sitting right here. There's some tugs standing by with her while the southbound traffic is sailing past her. And this is one of the reasons they put these cuts in, so that they can move vessels out of the way. They will probably move her out of this into either northbound and out of the canal, or bring her southbound a little further and anchor her in the lake to get her out of the way so that they can open up that section. Canal was prior to the two-lane section. You could only sail one way. The southbound convoy would sail down the Suez Canal until they got to the Great Bitter Lake. They would anchor here in the lake, and then the northbound convoy would pass them into this section and head out. But now with these passing lanes put in, you can actually avoid the anchorages. You still got to do it because the convoys are getting really big, but you don't have as much downtime. In other words, the canal can be more efficient, move more vessels. The plan is to go up from moving 50 vessels up to almost 90 vessels. You couldn't do that with the lanes previously, but now because of groundings you can move this. So the canal is open back again. Glory is sitting there in one of the bypass lanes, obviously trying to rectify the repairs. She can be towed out at any time. It'll be a question about where they tow her out. They don't want to interfere with the movement of convoys up and down the canal. So a quick little update on the grounding of motor vessel Glory. Still in the Suez Canal, hasn't been cleared yet, but traffic has been resumed. A very short period of closure. I think the Suez Canal Authority has learned a lot from Ever Given. They are very quick in response. Because of the volume of ships coming through, you can't have tugs with every ship coming through. So instead, they position these tugs so that they can respond very quickly and ensure they get on to the situation, and they were able to move this very quickly. Had this vessel become stuck longer, unlike Ever Given, this is a grain vessel. You can offload and shift grain a lot easier than containers off a vessel that has containers stacked 20 containers high. Glory is a much more manageable. We've seen this with bulk carriers and tankers where they get grounded and come out of the lane and move ashore. This vessel, we don't know the exact reason. Again, a mechanical failure. All right, if you enjoyed today's video, hey, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you'll be alerted about new videos as they come out. Leave a comment, share it across social media, give it a thumbs up, and if you can, support the page. You can do that by hitting the super thanks button below, or head on over to Patreon. You'll see a link at the end of the video or in the show notes, and you can support the page either monthly or yearly. Until our next grounding in the Suez or story, this is Sal signing off.